Hi, Ozzy. How are you? For those who don't know me, let me introduce myself. My name is Sosan. I'm a dietitian, certified diabetes educator, as well as TOS director of training. And I'm here to talk to you about a very important topic or something topic that's dear to my heart, which is on blood sugar control and diabetes management. And why are we talking about that? It's because when we talk about ensuring proper fat loss, making sure that we are losing fat in the most effective and efficient way, balancing our blood sugar is so vital and is so key. So before we start, let's really take a look at some of a very concerning stats. So for that, let's take a look. Did you know that 280 Australians develop diabetes every day? And that means for every 5 minutes, one person is being diagnosed with diabetes. And that means during this time when I'm presenting to you this information, someone is diagnosed with diabetes. And with diabetes, it also puts you at a lot of complication. One of them is cardiovascular disease. And look at that. This equates to one heart attack every 9 minutes. This statistic is very alarming, and this is something that we need to change. We need to change this for the future, and this is very important from managing our weight, but also managing our blood sugar. And this is very important to understand how blood sugar affects our body to burn fat and how we can maintain that fat loss and maintain those lean muscle tissue. So when we eat food that contains carbohydrates, these carbohydrates are really certain carbohydrate, what we call refined carbohydrate. These are carbohydrates that we call high glycemic index food. And I used to work with a professor who actually developed the glycemic index. So I know glycemic index so well. So when food are high glycemic index, means these are refined carbohydrates. So when we eat them, they break down into sugar so quickly, and the blood sugar spike. And when blood sugar spike, you store them because they got like the blood sugar is so much that you don't even use it up. Why we don't use it up? Because we're not active. We're sitting majority of the time, and that's when not used up, our body store as fat. On the other hand, if you skip a meal, you restrict your calorie, or you exercise on an empty stomach and you just simply not getting enough, your blood sugar drop. And why is blood sugar drop also causes your body to store fat is because your body think that you're starving themselves. So they try to reserve those energy. They hold on to that fat. In fact, they even burn muscle to give you energy. And that is exactly what we don't want because we want to preserve lean muscle. In fact, we want to increase our lean muscle. So having too high of a blood sugar and too low of blood sugar is a no, no, no. What we really want, stable blood sugar. Stable blood sugar really how our body releases fat, protects our lean muscle, actually manage our craving and increase our energy. And this whole process is very important because when we eat food and food break down into like carbohydrate to break down to sugar, these sugar goes to the fat, go to the cell to be stored, right? So how did they go to that? It's required this particular hormones called insulin. So imagine insulin is like a key to open the cell door, right? So when we start to eat food and break down to sugar, sugar is waiting in the blood to get into store into the cell, and the body pancreas, okay, one of the organ pancreas, release the insulin and say, hey, open the door so that the sugar can get into the cell to be stored, to be either used as energy or used as energy later on. So as simple as that. So what happened is when a person has excess fat, especially when they have a lot of fat in their visceral area and their abdominal area, which a lot of people suffer those problems, right? Those bare belly that we're talking about. A lot of fat around your cell. What does that mean? That means even though you release the insulin has a hard time to open that door because there's too much fat around the cell. And this is why losing fat naturally will allow you to stabilize that blood sugar because the sugar get to be go into the cell rather than stay in the blood. And that's why your blood sugar stays in what we call in a very good tight control instead of going too high or too low. So having insulin sensitivity is very important. And one of the things to support insulin sensitivity is this really important ingredient or nutrient called isochrome or chromium in this particular case. And the second thing is we also need to lose our body fat. So when we melt the fat, the insulin also works so much more effectively and better. So when people say weight management is easy, right? We just have to eat less or eat healthy. and exercise more. If it's really that easy, then why do we have an obesity issues? Why is some people are diagnosed having diabetes every 5 minutes? It's because it is not as simple as that. It's why? Because we're stressed, we overeat, we crave for carb, we love alcohol, okay? We live in an environment that's filled with toxins, we don't sleep enough, and all that reason causes a body to need more than just eat healthy and exercise, and therefore we need to supplement to support a body to function effectively and efficiently. And one of the key ingredients for that is actually a trace mineral called chromium. And there's research to show that chromium perchlorate actually retains muscle. What does that mean to retain muscle? That means that you can maintain your metabolic rate, either maintain or increase. And on second hand, there's even literature to show that chromium perchlorate can actually reduce the risk of insulin resistant. I just shared that it's so important to make sure our insulin is sensitive, and chromium plays a very important role to support that blood sugar control because it helps to make the insulin more sensitive. So let's talk about chromium. Why is this very important trace mineral that why are we deficient in it? We're deficient in it for so many reasons. Number one is not enough food contains chromium. And even if they contains chromium, while they go through processing, because we eat way too much processed food, we actually lose a chromium. And as we age, we also deplete chromium. And on top of that, when our diet is very high in sugar, we also lose chromium. And because of all these reasons, and that's why as we age, we need the support of extra support, getting a chromium from a supplement form because we cannot rely on our diet. So why Isotonix Isochrome? So this is not just a chromium. This is a synergistic formulation where it combines not just chromium, it has L-carnitine, coenzyme Q10, and B vitamin, which play a role not only from a cardiovascular health perspective, healthy blood sugar, but also muscle strength and energy production. So let's talk about the chromium in a little bit more detail. So in this particular, it's not just one chromium, but there's two type of chromium, and they kind of work similar, but a little bit different at the same time. So with the chromium perchlorate, it is help with promote the efficient functioning of your insulin, which is very important for hunger control, and support your metabolism. But at the same time, as chromium arginate is actually help support from a cardiovascular health. So together, combine these two chromium together are very effective in helping support normal insulin activity as well as metabolism, as well as cardiovascular health, which is very important. And on top of that, we have added the isochrome, or what we call coenzyme Q10, as well as L-carnitine. And we understand in the body, the coenzyme Q10 are so important because they are the fuel, the battery. They are the ones that support our battery. And every part of our body, every organ, muscle requires battery to function at its optimal rate and performance. And because of that, having adequate coenzyme Q10 are vital, or so important from an energy production, but as well as maintaining muscle endurance. And on top of that, we have an L-carnitine, which is an amino acid that's found in nearly every cell of the body, and it is naturally help to promote energy, supporting fat metabolism, which is all very important. And on top of that, we also added a B2, which is very important as part of the Krebs cycle, and simply put, is part of energy production. So this is a very synergistic blend to add all these ingredients so that we are not getting one support, we're getting the full comprehensive support. And for that, let me kind of summarize all the benefit of adding a isochrome into your regimen when you're following a low glycemic impact eating to get the maximum result, because it supports a healthier cardiovascular disease, healthy cardiovascular system function. Why is that important? Like I said before, when you had a high visceral fat, it increases your risk for insulin resistant. Insulin resistant increases your risk for diabetes. Diabetes injury is a complication for cardiovascular disease. They all go hand in hand. So supporting a cardiovascular system is so important. Promoting energy levels, supporting muscle strength, helping our insulin to be more sensitive are all important to helping our blood sugar stays even stable, so that we are in a fat burning machine, reserving a muscle so that we get the maximum benefit. So for that, I hope this information you find helpful, and the most important thing is, while you follow the low glycemic impact eating, be sure to add the Isochrome as part of your regimen to get the maximum benefit. Thank you so much and have a great day.